for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Moment of silence for all those in service to this country and for those 13 uniformed members who lost their lives, and for all those who are first responders and out there looking for all of us, looking out for our benefit. A moment, please. Beverly, would you like to lead the prayer?
Right. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Dear Lord, we seek your help with our affairs today. Bless this meeting with your divine intelligence and help us to best use of our owners. We are of diverse opinion and differences, and we wish to reach agreements satisfactory to all. Please share a little of your wisdom with us to help us do right by all concerned. Thank you for your blessing. Amen.
All right, so continue. Well,
This is the first time I'm here in 3 days anyway. The last one we walked out.
105, I now call this meeting to order. John.
here.
Karen here. Mary. Barbara here. Mario. Joe. Hanson. And myself, Beverly Greco.
Great. I'd like motion to forego the meetings of the minutes of the last meeting. Second. Thank you. Normally we'd start off right now with the committee reports. So, come on up, anybody with a committee report, please.
John, I have a committee report, sort of. As most of you who know me know, I'm very passionate about Holly Twig. And Holly Twig is an organization that volunteers their time and their efforts and their crafts to raise money to purchase patient comfort items for those patients in community medical center. In the past, we've raised money to purchase new mammography equipment, I'm going to turn this off because I kind of have a loud mouth. Can everybody hear me? Yes? No. So we purchased mammography equipment and blanket warmers. If you know anyone, or if yourself, if you've ever been in the emergency room, you know how cold it is in there. And if you ask for a warm blanket, they have blanket warmers that Holly Twig has purchased so that the patients can be comfortable. There's a whole list of things, and it's a very worthwhile organization. Well, anyway, we've been off since the pandemic, March of 2020, and next Wednesday is going to be our first meeting since we were all shut down. We meet on the second Wednesday of every month at 9:30 in Clubhouse 1. We have cake and coffee usually, and we'd love to meet new members. We'd love to welcome new members. So if you'd like to volunteer your time, your energy, your crafts for a very worthwhile cause, I invite you to join us at our meeting next Wednesday at 9:30 in the morning in Clubhouse 1. We would be happy to welcome new members. Thank you. That's
Thank you,
it.
Barb. Somebody come on up, back. Sue. Carol.
Mike's not on.
Slide it down.
Okay, Carolyn Weiss, I'm involved with the line dancing group. We are meeting September 10th o'clock, Clubhouse 1. Everyone's invited. If anyone is interested in being an instructor, we could use one of them. In the meantime, we're just going to wing it and see what happens. So everybody's invited, so come on out and join us. Thank you.
Yes, no, sign it, please, Carol. Please sign it. Oh, sign it. Thank you. Okay, hi, Pat DeBono. I'm gonna have my first hat is for the dance committee. I chair the dance committee and we run dances for the association. We're still looking for help. We need some strong men and women. If you know anybody that's interested in joining us, please give them my name and number. It's in the newspaper every month under dance committee. We're trying to have a New Year's Eve dance. It would be great, but we need some participation. My next hat, I run the bus trips for the fishing club. Our next bus trip to resorts is October 12th. It's a Tuesday. We leave from Clubhouse 1 at 1 o'clock and we return about 9 o'clock in the evening. It's $30 per person and you get $20 back. Ticket sales is the first and third Tuesdays at Clubhouse 1 between 12 and 1. New hat. You see, we need help. I don't think it's right that one person has 3 jobs, but I volunteer. I'm not afraid to volunteer, so please volunteer. My other hat is the bingo kitchen committee. I run the bingo kitchen from now on. Charlie and Sally used to take care of it. I'm doing it because they're not here. We always need help. We have ladies that extend themselves for 2 and 3 times a month to work. We need somebody else. We need new people. So please bear in mind and try to give us some help. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, Madam.
We need help keeping the parking lot, right? They can help us.
First of all, I'd like to say good afternoon to the Board of Directors and also you ladies and gentlemen who reside here in Holiday City, Berkeley. It's nice to see everybody together again. It's a real pleasure. Okay, my name is Harold Stewart. I am president of the Holiday City Berkeley Melodies Choral Group. We have thus far started on the 25th, which was last Wednesday. We started our initial rehearsal in preparation for the Christmas concert, which will take place here in this clubhouse on stage Sunday, December 5th at 2 p.m. Tickets will be going on sale beginning in early October and ending the end of November, the first and third Tuesdays in Clubhouse 1. I'm going to put a couple of members in charge of selling tickets. They'll be on sale for $5 a piece. One other thing before I turn the mic back over to the directors. Membership does not require that you have a professional singing or performance experience. However, those of you ladies and gentlemen who currently reside or have recently moved into Holiday City can join if you have no experience at all. We don't conduct formal auditions to determine membership acceptance. So if any of you thought in the past that you had to audition for it, no audition is necessary. We have made this club available to become friends with people. We love to entertain audiences. We love celebrating the Christmas holiday and the spring and summer season in May. So any of you have any experience of either junior high school, college, or even church experience, singing experience, you're more than welcome to join. It's a plus for you, but it's not required. We need more men. We have plenty of women. Now, we just recruited 6 new members as a result of my efforts. I put forth my efforts while at the adult swimming pool since the summer season started. I've been talking to several people, and we have thus far recruited 6 new members. So if that's if that is a likable idea for you folks, and you want to join, just come to the rehearsal. We have one in this clubhouse today at 4 p.m. We rehearse until 6 p.m. every Wednesdays right here in Clubhouse 2. Okay? Any questions? I write articles in the paper, in our community clubhouse bulletin paper. Just read them. You'll get the phone numbers there. If you have any questions, just call me at any one of those 2 numbers that I put in the paper. Okay? Okay. We'd love to see you. Come on in, sit, listen, get an idea, and you be the one to decide if whether or not you want to join. Okay? That's it. Thank you.
I'm not going to talk that much. But anyway, my name is Linda De Silva, and I take care of the Bongo. Our Bongo is held every 3rd Tuesday of the month. We have our first Bongo game September 21st. We like to get the game started exactly at 1 o'clock, so if you can show up at 12:30 to sign in and get the game going from 1 to 1:30. It's just not a game for you to meet. It's a socializing time. You have a lot of fun. We have a theme for each month that we do. We have a laughter and joking. It's really a very nice day. And do not worry if you do not know how to play Bongo. We will show you. We have our rules that we put on the tables. And we have very former Bongo players that will be very happy to help you. We're very friendly there. We have grown each year, so we must be doing something right. Also, if anyone is interested in joining, we have some sign-up sheets in the back. After the meeting, we will be happy to have you sign up with your name, your address, and your phone number. And thank you very much, and I hope to see you there.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Larry Box. I'm going to speak first on behalf of the Veterans and Friends Committee we have here. Luckily, we had a very successful free concert here a couple of weeks ago, and through your generosity, we brought in almost $2,000. So we thank you. We got to do the free concerts more often. And on another happy note, one of our members, Michael Colicchio, has now become a certified Veterans Service Officer. So now he no longer has to bring any paperwork that he takes care of to somebody and get authorization for what he recommends. He can make a recommendation and cut through any more of the paperwork. So please, any veterans and That includes family members. I mean, the husbands and wives of both veterans, believe me. If the wife served, the husband is under that umbrella, and vice versa, naturally. If you need if you know of anybody that needs anything, even if you don't think it might be covered, please just come forward and let us know. And hopefully it will be covered. If not, then unfortunately, that's beyond our means. But it's nice to have somebody right here locally in this community, which is the largest community in Ocean County with veterans, believe it or not. We have more veterans here in Berkeley than per square mile than anywhere else in Ocean County. So again, Mike Colicchio is his name, and you can contact me or John, or we can get you the information you might need. On a happier note, well, not really happier note, but for 9/11, we are going to serve coffee and donuts here, and we would like to get some volunteers to help us. We'll just be in the kitchen right back there, just putting out coffee and donuts and making sure that things go as smoothly as we can make them. And that again will be actually on 9/11. 10 o'clock, and we'll start at 10.
Program starts at 10.
There will be, I believe, 7 speakers that day, plus or minus, more likely plus, the politicians that come. But that's beyond our control. That's why we offer the coffee and cake,
Right. And Mike will be one of the speakers.
And Michael will be a speaker, yes. And I'm a little prejudiced towards Mike. I've known him about 70 years, so we grew up on the same street in Jersey City, and I've been with him, and he's been with me since when they used to have nursery school with the Laurent Filipino nuns. Okay, now, but seriously, we'll have coffee and cake, and then hopefully it'll be a nice morning. As far as bocce, I'm also back in with bocce, and we will start on the 14th of September. We are only playing Mondays and Tuesdays, and we will end now probably October 19th, weather permitting. If the weather stays nice, we'll try and go into a week, but more than that, I doubt, because then we'll be right into November. So anybody interested in bocce, we will have a meeting Thursday, right here. And, Susan, where's Susan? What time are we meeting, 4 or 7? 4 o'clock.
What's the date, Thursday what?
Tomorrow. I'm sorry. Yeah, we used to meet the 2nd of the month, but like everything else with COVID, that got changed. All right. But the meeting will be tomorrow. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. If there are no other committee reports, we're going to proceed to the director's reports, but before we do, I just wanted to follow up with Larry. If anybody would like to help us on the day of the 9/11, when, again, Veterans and Friends is going to supply coffee and donuts, the community is going to supply water. If anybody would like to help us out a little bit to dispense the coffee and donuts or whatever in the kitchen, please speak to Larry or myself and give us a hand if you'd like on 9/11, if you're going to attend and you would like to be a part of that. Now, before I'm going to get the other directors give the reports, I'd like to give this information out about the security of the election and the veracity of the election, for lack of a better word. On the date we bring in all the votes to be counted, we have a complement right now of some volunteers, but we actually need 3 more volunteers for the count that day. And if anybody is interested, please contact somebody here on the board, or preferably Judy in the office. And we would appreciate if somebody come in and help on that. So what I'm going to do now is actually I'm going to read from our attorney some of the guidelines to ensure that, or to let everybody know that we're going to ensure a safe and secure election. And I'll go through it. So just be patient. There's a few items here. During the day of the vote, all ballot boxes will be kept in the office waiting area and secured every evening. All the ballot boxes will be taped closed with a new box being used each week or sooner if the box is filled to capacity. Each box with ballots will be secured in the office each evening until transported to the meeting room stage in Clubhouse 2 by the election committee persons on Wednesday, November 24th. Then they will be opened and counted before any owner who wishes to observe from the floor. Each candidate will be assigned a seat on the stage to observe the counting process themselves, or to have the designee observe the counting process. On November 24th, the owner's names on the exterior envelopes will be announced by election committee person. You shall check off on a good standing master ledger sheet those persons identified to be in good standing. If such exterior envelopes contain the name of a person who does not appear on the good standing master list sheet, that person's ballot will be deemed invalid and placed in a separate box, and that ballot inside will not be counted. If a person submits 2 mail-in ballots, both ballots will be deemed null and void, and neither will be counted. After all the names on the exterior envelopes are announced, only the envelopes bearing the names of people in good standing will be opened by the election committee members, with the exterior envelopes being placed in one box and the envelope containing the ballot in another box. Those exterior envelopes bearing the names of people not in good standing will be retained, not opened, and the ballots inside them will not be opened. Just to clarify that, all the mailings that go out are going to be an envelope inside an envelope, and then there's a return envelope. It's that's what we're relegated to do. Unfortunately, when I said in the last meeting, Ocean County Board of Elections is not allowing us to use the machines, and this is going to be the situation. We had asked for some volunteers to help to do the mailings, and that would be, just before I go any further on this, I just want to clarify. We've asked for people to come forth, and any of the candidates could suggest somebody that they have in mind to be a part of the committee to help stuff and the envelopes and send them out. In reality, this is going to be a 5-day event, and people are going to have to put in, anybody who would volunteer to do that would have to put in a full day's work for approximately 5 days. And we're talking about each candidate maybe suggesting someone. In lieu of that, we can also opt to just have it farmed out. If we don't have enough people, and again, we're bringing it before the community, because if enough people came in and volunteered, then we wouldn't have to outsource. But if we don't get enough people to come in, stuff ballots, etc., 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 then we are going to outsource, and it will cost a little bit. It will be an expense. I believe we're getting a couple of estimates right now, if that does be the case. Okay, move on. Once all ballots for counting are assembled, I'll read the names of the people on the ballot out loud to the 3 vote counters, who will tally the votes in increments of 5, announcing when each candidate receives increments of 5 votes, and that is to minimize the likelihood of a recount. After candidates on all ballots are announced, the 3 vote counters will separately tally the votes for each candidate, and therefore each will announce the number tally vote for each candidate. Assuming, you know this was written by a lawyer, just so you know, it's not, we didn't come up with this. So, assuming each of the 3 counters have the same number of votes for each candidate, and there is no tie between 6th and 7th highest vote getters, the chairperson of the election committee will formally announce in Clubhouse 2 the voting results for each candidate, starting with the least highest voter, getting to the highest vote. Going to the highest vote getter. As soon as time permits, within the next 5 days from there, the chairperson of the election committee will coordinate a robocall with the community announcing the final results. Hopefully this will instill confidence in the process being transparent, and I don't believe that any regulations, according to the attorney, are going to be in question at this point. So that being said, that's what I have for you on the election, and I'm going to go to other directors for their reports, but I would just like to say one thing. Again, I'm very thankful that we've all come to a sense of community that was shown in last month's meeting, and obviously it's going to continue, and it's something that I'm proud of the community and happy that we have resolved our issues that way. And before I turn it over to any other director for their reports, I just want to just give you a little bit of a little humor. If you don't mind, I'll tell you a joke. So these two mob hitmen are going into the forest, deep into the forest, very late at night. And one hitman says to the other one, I gotta admit, I'm pretty scared walking in here this late. And the other one says to him, you're scared. I'm the one that has to go back alone. So, that being said, I'm going to turn it over. We're going to go down to start with
That I'll be walking
whoever that was. You guys are close to this. There you go. Show one off. There you go.
Must be me, my magnificent.
Okay, I'm gonna yell.
Turn yours on.
Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? In our general account, we have $406,418.52. In our payroll account, we have $32,041.11. In our capital improvement account, we have $636,749.65. There is no total on this sheet, but I'm going to do a pretty rough thing here. That's that's $1,740,000 some odd we have at our disposal in 3 different bank accounts. That's it.
Right now, the maintenance people are just painting up the card room, putting the rest of the flooring that we have down. The card room hasn't been done in over 7 or 8 years, so it's really in need of paint. They painted the upstairs walls on the deck, and the bathrooms are getting a coat of paint. So that's what the maintenance men are doing right now. The other thing that we have decided as a board, we do have some contracts that are coming up. The pool contracts and the bus contracts are coming due. The pool contracts, we've decided to definitely let that one go until the new board is elected. We feel that whoever's elected for the new board should be the ones to decide on what the pool contract should be. The second one is the bus contract, which happens to be up at the end of October, going into November. So our suggestion would be that we ask that company if they would extend it for the 2 months going into January, so that we'll see who's going to be on the board, and then that those people could decide. We have sent out bids to 3 different bus companies. There aren't that many that do private busing. but, we have South, I think, Academy is one, and I can't remember the other one, but we've sent out bids to them, and they have not sent anything back yet at all. But in the meantime, we feel it's only proper to let the new board work on those contracts. Actually, no, because somebody asked me a question just as I was leaving a board meeting today on how we make decisions about how do we do the roof or how we do the paving. And I just want to let people understand that before we do anything, if we're putting up, say, when we put the roof here, we had to get an engineer report. We have, and then they actually send out all of the bids to the companies. So we might go out to 20 different companies. If anybody in the community, some people in the community had roofing companies in their family, they were also allowed to bid on it. So that's how we come up with the bids. And the Falcon Group recommended, when they came back, when all the bids came back, they actually recommended the groups that they thought would be the best. And of course, then we went with the money, how much it costs, and who's a good company. And then we actually have an engineer here as these jobs are being done. And the same thing was done with the paving. So it's not as though we get Lucky Joe's paving company to come in here and say, well, we're going to do all of this. I mean, we actually had to have an architect, an engineer, and even when we were doing this building, we had architect, we had engineers, we had the insurance company. So that's how the work has been done. It's not been done in anybody that we say, well, okay, hey, I know a roofing company, let's get a roofing company. No, the board sits down and we sit down with experts, and that's how we make those decisions. So just so if everybody understands, and I have all of the paperwork that anybody can come in the office and look at. All you have to do is call up and say, listen, I want to come in and I want to look at the engineer reports that we have to do every 5 years, so that's for our capital improvement fund. So when we're looking for the next 5 years what we have to do. And that would be, the next board is going to have to follow that same protocol. So we also have the audit. At the end of the year, anybody can ask for a copy of the audit, or anybody can come in and ask for it. I'm surprised nobody has. We have not had one person come in and say, could I see that? Could I see the capital improvement funding? Nobody's done that. Nobody has made an appointment to come into the office to look at it. All you have to do is call the office. I will call anybody back that asks, and I will make it my business to be there so that we don't allow anybody in the office to be there. One of us will always be there with that person, but anybody can come in and look at that. And that's pretty much it.
Okay, Mary does have one thing. I just want to make an addition to what Terry said. The contract for the pool, for the resurfacing the pool, that's something we're going to leave for the next, just to clarify. It's for the resurfacing of both pools. And we're going to leave that for whomever the board is. Mary?
I just forgot to say that I'm selling tickets for the Jersey Tenors, the performance that will be on November 7th. So they will be sold the first and the third Tuesdays of the month at Clubhouse 1 from 12 to 1. I also have them with me today, so after the meeting, if anyone would like to purchase a ticket, I have them with me. If 1st of September, and every subsequent, first and third Tuesdays of the month.
And tickets will be available at the door the day of the performance. If you shouldn't have a chance to get your ticket, and you'd still like to come and see the show.
And if they're available.
Will be sub, yeah. Yes, I'm pretty sure there'll be tickets available.
Okay, Mario.
I know you can hear me because I have a loud voice. There's nothing new I can report as far as the grass is concerned. It's the same story, I'm working on it, and that's the end. I have nothing else to report at this time.
Beverly.
The housing report. Oh, okay, but before I give you the housing report, I just want you to know at the end of the agenda, the next Shareowners meeting will be October 6th at 6 o'clock in Clubhouse 2. We're having our first night meeting, and I hope you all come out to attend. Now, housing report. Houses sold in August 2021, 16 for a total of $8,000. Houses rented, 2 for a total of $400. Houses pending to close, 19 for a total of $9,500. Total properties with judgments, 18. Number of current liens, 165. Number of liens pending, 0. Removed 4 old liens, not yet reported. Properties with a second lien for non-payment of maintenance fees, 50. Properties with payment agreements, 4. Our attorney is handling 19 foreclosures, 18 collection issues, and 53 other issues. That's my report.
Thank you, Bev.
You're welcome.
I'm just going to give you a report for Joe, who's not here today, and there was 19 requests for modifications, which are, for those who don't understand, they're for any improvement you want to do on your home, and I believe he approved them all. As far as my personal report on, we're still under budget with trees, thankfully, and let's hope the weather stays that way so we can stay a little under budget. And I believe that's about it for any directors. We have nothing else, so at this time, any old business, would you please come up and address anything? Old business? All right, let me see if anyone else does first. Barbara? No old business. Okay, Barbara, go ahead.
I'm going to try this mic. Just turn it on where it is. Okay, at our August Shareowners meeting, there was an excerpt read from the bylaws, which states, quote, "To the extent now or hereafter permitted by the law of the state of New Jersey, the Board of Directors shall have the power to levy fines against any shareowner for violations of any rule or regulation of Holiday City at Berkeley, or any covenants or restrictions contained in the master deed or bylaws, except that no fine may be levied for more than $25 for any violation." When this segment of the bylaws was read, I asked the resident, was that $25 per day? I was informed, he was reading the bylaws book, I didn't have mine with me, that he said, it said nothing about per day. That was where it ended. $25 was the max that the board could fine anyone. He then asked if we could swear that we had never issued a fine of more than $25. There was, of course, no answer to that question. So I researched that question. And in fact, yes, we have fined more than $25. The resident did not, however, finish the sentence as it is written in the bylaws. It continued, quote, "Provided, however, that for each day a violation continues after notice, it shall be considered a separate violation." And what that legalese says that we're allowed to fine $25 a day for each day of the violation. That being said, there are many other instances in the bylaws and the rules and regulations which give the board of directors a recourse of things we can straighten out violations of our bylaws. On page 21, section 4, paragraph 1, the owner or owners of a lot or living unit who violate the declaration of covenants and restrictions and or bylaws and or rules and regulations shall be subject to fines, penalties, and assessments, including but not restricted to fines up to $50 a day after notification for continuing violation. Here's another one in the rules and regulations on page 24. I'm going to paraphrase this because it's a lot of legal. But in effect, it says, feeding of any wildlife, with the exception of bird feeders, this one's going to surprise you, I think, is prohibited. Domestic pets must not be permitted to run free and must be in the owner's control at all times. Pet waste must be picked up immediately. Here comes the quote. Any person found to violate these rules and regulations shall be subject to an initial fine of $50 for the first violation. Subsequent violations shall incur incrementally increasing fines not to exceed $1,000. Now that's from our bylaws and rules and regulations. Berkeley Township has its own set of rules and laws and regulations regarding feeding the wildlife. That's just one part of it. Now here's the kicker. Any fines imposed by Holiday City upon the owner or owners of a lot or living unit and all fees and costs incurred by Holiday City, including but not limited to all attorney's fees and costs, expert fees and costs, and all costs to address and or remediate such violation shall become joint and several personal liability and personal obligation due Holiday City for each owner of the lot or living unit at which the violation arose, or who otherwise committed the violation on one of the properties. Remember, just because somebody says it doesn't make it true. And if you read it on Facebook, it certainly isn't true. That's all for me. Thank you.
I'm glad that was a paraphrase. I tell you, that was good. So, that being said, we move on to new business. I'd like to just say something. Naturally, last year we had the COVID situation, and as you all know, we have veterans and friends that Larry is president of. This year we're going to have it again. We're going to do our dinner dance. It's going to be on November 13th, and that's our biggest venue to raise money for all service members in Ocean County, families, etc., that are in need. Please, everyone, think of that. We've had a success every year we've done it. We weren't allowed to do it last year, again, because of COVID. But it's a great event, and I have yet to hear anybody say they really didn't have a good time. Well, maybe one or two people had an issue here and there, but for the most part, it's always been good. All right, so we're going to move on right now to new business. Please come on up. Sign in, please. Thank you.
Hello everybody. Board.
Hi.
I just have a little something that
You have to please announce yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No problem.
Patricia
During the last several months, there have been articles written in our bulletin explaining the board's position on several issues. There has also been opposing views by some of the candidates that are being restricted from print.
We can't, we're not hearing you.
It would be fair. Okay, thank you. Start over. During the last several months, there have been articles written in our bulletin explaining the board's position on several issues. There has also been opposing views by some of the candidates that are being restricted from print. It would be fair for the share owners to make an honest judgment by listening to the candidates. I make a motion that our quorum of share owners votes to a candidate night before the ballots are mailed out, so we can hear what assets they can bring to our board and our community.
I second.
If I may.
Yes.
Actually, I had a discussion with one of the candidates after our open meeting this morning.
Okay.
And I informed him that any statement that was put in the bulletin would be allowed to be rebutted by the candidate. So that answers that question. And that was an agreement that we had today.
Well, actually, what I'm asking for is to have a candidates night.
That's
so
the
that
second part, yes, and I didn't get to that. We
Oh,
are
I'm
having
sorry.
a candidates night. That's already been, we have yet to decide the date, and I'll tell you why. We had a moderator for that. He's one of the councilmen and the president of South, Mike Signorelli. I was informed this morning he has to bow out. He has COVID, he and his wife have both had COVID. But to address that second part of your question, we do have the intentions to have a candidate night or a candidate day, whatever the situation may be, and we will have it in due time before the actual election. And again, to go back to the first part, there is no way that if a statement was made or something was put in the bulletin by any board member, I have discussed that with one of the other candidates, and rebuttals will be allowed to be printed.
Okay, terrific. I just want to clarify, if you wouldn't mind. The candidate night would be before the ballots are mailed out?
The candidate night before
Yes.
ballots are mailed?
Yes. I'm sorry?
It had to be out by a certain date. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll try to get that happening, and we'll come up with a date. Somehow, let's see, the next one will be in October, and that's the night meeting. But we can have a separate candidate. We can have a candidate, and we don't have to do it during the meeting. We can set up and how about this? If we set it up and we try to have a date for somewhere in the month of October, that way everybody has a chance.
If that works for everybody, that's terrific. Thank you. And Madam Secretary, would you please record my motion in detail, included in the minutes, so that we all see the
I'm
bulletin?
sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, I'm just asking that my motion be recorded in detail and included in the minutes, so that it gets in the bulletin and we can all read it. I'm sorry?
I said I tried to put everything that I can get in.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
You're done. Next.
My name is Sandra Maudsley, and I'm at 463 St. Thomas Drive. I have a couple questions. Now that you brought up the fines, do you give a warning first, or you
Absolutely.
Okay.
And first of all, any fines would only be as a result of a complaint issued or a complaint that was turned in by a resident. No one on the board goes around looking to issue. So it would be the first step would be to send a letter advising whoever is being accused of misdeed or whatever it is. They're told to correct it within a certain amount of time, and if it's not corrected, a fine would or could or would be issued. And they have that time to either respond or not respond to it. But everyone gets a warning.
Okay.
First.
What is, after the warning, what is that certain amount of time?
Could be 10 days.
That
10
long?
days. Well, 10 days, you have to give, depending on what it is, I mean, you have to be somewhat rational. I mean, there are some things that maybe somebody can't do in a day. There are some people who are quite invalid in the community.
Right.
And sometimes we get complaints about certain things that might be on their property, and being that they're invalids or might be in financial distress, you have to give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, and usually the time frame is 10 days.
Okay. Now, if somebody's been warned, or somebody's been fined, and they, after they pay the fine, they continue, they just go back and do what they were doing,
Yeah.
is that a larger fine, or is that not
It
just
all depends on
$25?
it all depends on the situation as it is. As Barbara tried to say, there are different fines for different
Okay.
violations, so you can't make it a uniform.
Okay. My other question is, do we know who on this board is running? Are you all?
No, we're not.
Okay.
But
Do we
the
know who
resume-
is?
So far,
Yeah.
you have a couple of people who are gonna be in. We have we have 2 members of the board right now that are not gonna be up for election, and we have 2 that are considering whether or not to return.
And what about the others?
Obviously, they're gonna run.
Okay, so who are they? Who do we have here that's running?
Mario's running, I believe Barbara's running, and I believe Mary is running.
Okay, and when?
I'm tentative right now.
Okay, and when will you be submitting your resumes?
With everyone else, and they'll all be in the paper together.
Okay.
Everyone's resume will be in the paper together.
Okay, and when is that deadline?
For what?
To have your resumes in?
That's already been, what is the deadline we gave us?
I don't know.
Well, I think it was in the paper, October.
I can fill that.
Go ahead.
The original deadline, according to our bylaws, was September 1st. The Radburn Act happened and said that within, actually, I have it highlighted here, it says that between 30 and 60 calendar days prior to the election meeting notice, a notice calling for candidates shall be mailed which specifies the process for submitting nominations. Now that's kind of Greek to me, but that's what it says. The period of nomination shall be at least 14 days, period. If no deadline is set, nomination shall be deemed valid up to 1 business day. Well, the deadline was set. Our attorneys determined that, according to Radburn, our deadline for submission of resumes for candidacy on the board is now October 10th.
Okay.
According to Radburn. According to our bylaws, it was September 1st. We changed nothing. Radburn changed things concerning the election. The Radburn Act. Now, so our deadline now, according to Radburn, is October 10th. In order to get all of the resumes into our bulletin, which would be the October bulletin and the November bulletin, which according to our bylaws is what's supposed to happen, the deadline for submission of an article to the paper is the last Friday the first Friday of the month prior to the printing of the paper. For example, the October deadline is September 3rd. So what we're going to do is whatever resumes we have up until September 3rd, they will be posted in the October paper. You can read everybody's resumes who's running. If anyone submits a resume after the newspaper deadline has been passed, what we're going to do is put that one in with the others in the November bulletin with a little notation that this resume was received after the newspaper deadline. It's the only way we can figure out how to do it. So everybody's resume will be in the October and the November newspaper. You can read everybody's.
Okay, and is the pool gonna be open just the following Saturday after Labor Day, or are we gonna have it longer?
September 12th. That's
Okay.
the date we said in the beginning of the year that the pool will close. We have to notify the state when the pool will open and when the pool will close, prior to opening.
Okay, why is it though, like South 2 years ago, they were open right through October?
Has nothing to do with us.
No, it doesn't, I realize that it doesn't, but why can't we ever have our pool open? That year, I spent the whole month at the lake because the weather was so beautiful. And people from here actually went to South. I mean, why don't we ever ask for that?
You know what, I can't answer that, but I can tell you this. We're at a meeting today, masks are mandated. But Holiday Heights, you can't go in the building without a mask on. Every association has their own rules and regulations that come up. And, you know, to backtrack and say what happened then and what happened, it's happened. And this year is up till the 12th. So, I mean, I don't know.
Okay, but why is it, you know what, it's always been that way. It's always been the Saturday following Labor Day. Why don't we, you know, like, why don't you put in for that?
I'm going to try to put that in perspective for you. In the beginning of the year, so much money has to be allocated for chemicals, et cetera, et cetera. And you have to use that to the end of the year. At the end of the year, you can't go out and buy stuff. You have to have that gauge so you know. So that's why a certain date is set. And, you know, each community, has their own set of regulations. If you have, let me finish that, please. If in fact, in the future, you have another board, bring it up. Hey, I want to stay open until October. That's not an issue. It's something it's one issue that you have. That's not necessarily consensus for whatever happens when you have to make the plans during the year. And the state, again, we have to have all of that order. You don't want an overabundance of stuff, and you don't want to be short of stuff. So you have to, and thankfully, we have somebody that has the license that knows what to do with the chemicals and how they're spaced out, and to project when they're used. So, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but the question you're asking is not really have an answer.
Okay. Okay, well, you know what, I think over the years everyone's made it very clear, a lot of people, that we want the pool open longer. And I think you should take that into consideration.
It'll be taken into consideration, I'm sure, especially by the new board.
Well, I'm just saying that, I mean, that's a form of, enjoyment.
I understand, and please let's not belabor the point. A date, if you have a specific date, do you have a date yourself in mind that you'd like to stay up until?
Yeah, at least the end of September.
Okay, then you know what? Next year, when that comes up at a meeting, suggest it. Okay, but it's a little too late this year.
Well, okay, but I mean, right, because that means you could have a petition.
You can do that, man.
Right.
No one's saying no.
Right.
Right?
Well, I just think that would be, like you say, when it's a board
Nobody's
meeting.
disagreeing with you at all.
Okay.
So, let's not belabor the point, please.
I would say February or March, bring that up at some shareholders meeting.
Great.
And then they have
Absolutely. You could bring it up, but at this point, it's too late, and it's conjecture to come into play.
Well, I mean, I don't know, you hear stories, and I don't know if it really, I mean, if you're talking about chemicals.
Right now, again, we have to move on, please.
Okay, all right.
No.
Good afternoon.
I just want to give one answer. Both the opening date and closing date has to be submitted to the state. And I understand if there's a request, that has to be done way before the planning for the pool. If there's a request by anyone in the community, or they have a list of people and they want to suggest it, that's fine. No one's saying no. I just want to add that in. But those dates have to be projected to the state. Go ahead.
Good afternoon.
State your name and your address, please, Jeff.
Oh, yes. 24 St. Croix Street. Joe Falcon. 24 St. Croix.
Go ahead.
Okay, I have a question for you, John.
For me?
For for you.
Go ahead.
When somebody fills in a complaint, how
Yeah.
long does it take the board to respond to the complaint?
To send out the original letter, usually within a day of getting the complaint, and then a letter will be sent by the office. And depending on the mail or whatever the case may be, that's when it will get.
Well, I filed a complaint on October 4th.
What was the complaint about, the bee's nest?
No.
Or the wasp?
No. We talked to the gentleman, the maintainers, and we told them that it would be safer to do it at night.
Right.
It hasn't been done, but that's beside.
What complaint did you submit?
A complaint of harassment against Terry. Her code of conduct that day.
You gave me a complaint?
Yes, I brought it to the receptionist, handed it to her.
I had no complaint, I've never received a
I
complaint.
figured you didn't. I figured you didn't, because I handed it to her, and I told her there was a complaint against Terry, and I wanted for you to give you, but you weren't there. So, I said, could you put it on his desk? And she said, I'm gonna put it on your desk. Well, it must have disappeared somewhere. I have the complaint right here.
Then why don't you submit it to me now?
Yes.
I'm telling you, I've never received that. I hope you don't say something. When I say something, it's constant word. I don't bullshit. Excuse me, everyone. Go ahead. Let's see. This is dated 8/4, this is a copy, so it's something you did. When did you make the copy, Joe?
That day.
In the office?
No.
Oh, your house,
I
okay.
made it, you know, one day.
Not a problem. This is something that I'm gonna retain. It's not for the shareholders at this point.
Right.
It's a complaint pertaining
Yes.
to one of the other board members, and it will be dealt with.
Thank you very much.
All right. No, not now. That's my. Sorry, Joe, talking to Mike.
I'm sorry. Madam Secretary, please record my motions, detail, and include it in the minutes. And I thank you for that.
Okay, Joe. Okay, all right. Judy?
Did you think you were gonna get off easy?
No, Judy, do me a favor, please announce yourself and your address.
Okay, Judy S., 20 St. Croix Street. I have a couple of questions. One, as far as the roof goes, why do we need an engineer to remove the roof? Why can't we get a licensed contractor to come and tell us what we need? Why do we need to hire an engineer?
Not all licensed contractors are honorable. I'm going to give you a statement or a fact. Not this board, but before this board, there was an issue with the roof on Clubhouse 1. And at that time, the board member who was in charge of maintenance brought his cousin's outfit in, a bus company, to do the actual work on Clubhouse 1, which has since gone to Bluey. Again, that wasn't this board, it was done. So the proper thing would be to make sure that everything is done in conjunction with whatever it may be, whether it be codes, et cetera, et cetera. And sometimes you need a structural engineer when it comes to a building. For example, like this, especially when this building was basically condemned because of the chemical fire. So engineers' reports give us a professional outlook on where and way, how we dispose.
Didn't you say we get an engineer to inspect everything once a year or something?
Say what?
Didn't you say there's an engineer that comes in and inspects?
No. No engineer comes in. We submit what's needed to do, and the engineer makes a report. He might have to come in and inspect whatever it is.
I thought Terry had said something about Falcon Engineering comes in and does an inspection every so many years.
What Terry said was, and this was when we had the receiver here, and this was part of coming out. This was part of coming out of receivership. Anytime we have a major job, like a flat roof, a flat roof needs specialized companies to come and do the job.
No, they don't. I have a flat roof on the house that I sold to Brownsville. All you need is bids from the contractors. You need insurance certificates from the contractors that ensure their work. And that's all you get, 3 bids from contractors, they come out. If it's a structural change, then you need an engineer.
They're all
If it's a
structural, this is
change.
structural.
No, it's not, the roof is not structural, the framework under it's structural.
Judy.
If they're altering that, then you need it.
Judy, we are following what we have to do by what the receipt.
Can I have a copy of where it tells you that you have to have an engineer come out and look at that? Because I'm telling you, you don't need an engineer.
You
just
could
need
come
a
into,
contract.
you could come into the office and look at what we have.
All right.
You have to make an appointment.
Another thing, the pool's emptied every year. Do you empty the pools every year?
Do we empty?
The pool's emptied every year.
They have to be redone.
I mean,
Inside, cement.
when they don't have to be done, are they emptied every year or are they just full?
It depends, sometimes we've had leaks, and in the past.
I know, you have to do work, yeah.
You want me to answer? In the past.
If it leaks,
year
it's
or
gonna
two I've
empty,
been
right?
here, There's been leaks. But in the spring, yes, it has to be,
They have to be emptied, completely emptied every year.
That's the only way you're gonna inspect it and make sure everything's correct.
I'm not, why do you have to inspect it every year?
Now, please,
The
I
pool is
can't
work-
answer a question that
If there's
is
a
really
question
not.
on something to do with it, I can see that, but all the
It's for
pools.
this, let's just say something simple, it's for the safety of the community. For crying out loud.
The safety of the community, you have to empty a pool.
And it's for the safety and protection of people who come here and swim. We're responsible, the head of the pool company, the head of the pool maintenance is responsible, and if something happened, then we would be liable. And
Don't you have to pay these people that come in to inspect these things?
No, we don't, man. That's why we don't use a pool company. We have a certified, licensed pool expert on salary that works here.
And he comes every year?
He lives here. I don't know why you're not getting that.
I'm just asking the question, was to get into the pools every year, if it has to be repaired.
Yes,
That wasn't,
not repaired, but inspected to make sure that it's viable for the next year.
okay, the fact that it holds water all year, okay, never mind. I got my answers. Another one.
No, I didn't.
Are we stuck with the grass company? You said something about that. Are we stuck with the grass company that
The
doesn't
grass
answer our?
company is stuck, yes, you know why? Every grass company we've had, there have been complaints. And this is a new grass company who have come in $100,000 under budget, and they're new. And they are now, as I understand, the complaints are getting less and less and less as time goes on, as they get familiar with this area. This is not a square.
Do they have a contract?
Ma'am, Judy, can I finish, please?
I didn't
This
know
is not a
what
square
it was.
grid. You asked a question, I'm answering about grass. It's not a square grid. They have offshoot streets and areas, and it's been taking time to accommodate everybody and learn the ropes of what's needed in the community. And by now, at the end of this season, they have come to the point where I think the complaints have been minimal, and especially compared to any tree company before. Also, looking at the fact that they came in at $100,000 cheaper, that's something we should reflect on.
That's good. My answer is not that. My question was, are they under a contract? Do they have a contract?
Yes, they are. 3 years.
For 3 years. So
That's right.
we're stuck with them for 3 years. Whether
You're
we're
stuck, yes.
That
You're
was the
stuck
question.
No, they're stuck. She's stuck.
Well, my grass is 15 days and it hasn't been cut. I never, I've been here 9 years. This is the first year that I waited 15 days to get grass cut. So I don't know if they're getting better. It's almost near the end of the term now. One day we had a lot of very, very hot weather. So we haven't had a lot of rain at all. That's beyond side. That's no excuse. And if they,
This week, I don't think we had.
no, 10 to 14 days is what it used to be. And I never had an issue in 9 years until this year. And I understand they're new. You give them getting better. This is the 5th or 6th time. They're not
What you
better.
should do is submit a complaint to Mario and he'll do it.
It'll eventually get. Mario, I did give a complaint to one time when I waited 18 days, and I put a sign outside saying waiting 18 days. And I also called the company myself because I didn't wait to depend on you. Just like the violations, there's no reason for us to find people. And that's
Are you campaigning right now, Judy?
No.
Well, then please, keep it to a question and answer.
I am.
Not campaigning. This is not a campaign.
You said you signed a complaint form, and I signed a complaint form, and Mario did address it and said they should be out there that day, and they did come the next day, and I believe I did call and leave a message. Thank you.
Not to reiterate, old business is past, this is new business.
This is new business.
It's not new business. You're complaining about grass, you've had the complaint in. We have to move on. Thank you. Next, please. Whoever.
Rosemary Shrego, 497
Please, can we have some?
Jamaica Boulevard.
Thank you, so we can get away with this. I'm sorry, it was crossed off while you were saying it.
Rosemary Shrego.
Thank you, Rosemary.
If I can just say these three things and then go sit down, because I have a bad back and I know what it's like for you guys. You know what it is.
If you want, you can remove that mic and sit.
No, not that bad. I first want to thank you for all you do, because I was on the board where I used to live. And it's the most thankless job you can ever have. I don't think I totally understood what Mary was saying about the attorneys. When there's complaints and things, do we have to pay the attorneys, or is it all up to the homeowner to pay that part?
Any hours that the attorney puts in on behalf of the association comes out of the budget. If for some reason, one of the residents wants to call the attorney directly or work with that attorney, that would entail their paying that bill. If it's something that comes through, let's say it's a complaint or an issue, any issue, I'm going to give you a quick example. We had 2 meetings ago. I had to leave early, but there was a commotion that started on the right side. Well, that person was an illegal resident here, and there had been quite a few issues with the police. Subsequently, we had to go through with the lawyer pertaining to this. I was accused of harassment, and he made a complaint to the prosecutor's office that I harassed him, and my harassment was I was instructed by the attorney to take pictures of the garbage that was around the perimeter of the home, which was only one of the violations. And again, this was an illegal resident, underage, and the owners of the home were they did not live in Holiday City. That being said, it went to the prosecutor's office. He complained, this person complained that I was harassing him. Again, but I was in doing the work or the job that I had to do as the president to get the evidence that was needed to try to have evicted. All through COVID, we weren't allowed to. Subsequently, all that, even though it was induced by the resident or the illegal resident, all those fees had to be paid by the community. And there have been times naturally where we had to bring the attorney in, for example, to explain something. Just in particular, we had a meeting one time that took 3.5 hours with a resident, and he had every right to be there and ask those questions. But we felt that the attorney being there would give a better perspective if we didn't have it, and yes, the community paid for that. But that was community-related business, and it was something that we brought the attorney in to clarify. So that wasn't up to the resident to pay that. But there are instances that if something arises, yes, it's going to cost us. And we have now, because of the one situation I previously mentioned, we have our attorneys seeking payment from those people.
Okay, all right, I see. I know where I used to live, we had a couple of assessments. I've never had one here. And are you allowed to? Assessments?
We're not, please, it's like a cursive.
I know. I know.
We try to avoid that. Unfortunately, we had an increase this year, but no assessment was issued.
I think.
But that doesn't mean somewhere in the future.
I understand, but I think there's many people here that don't know that we can even have them.
Yeah, it can happen depending on the situation.
I think you're doing a great job to avoid them.
Thank you so much.
And
much appreciated.
I still get complaints about the dues you have to raise dues sometimes?
We did, yes, we tried to explain, you know, not everybody's happy with it, whether you explain it or not.
Nobody is, nobody wants
Nobody's
to
happy.
pay.
No, I was thrilled that I raised myself $60.
Yeah, of course. I
Rich is so
understand.
happy that we did.
I know, and I thank you for trying to keep everything down as much as you can.
Thank
So
you
I
so much.
just want to say thank you for a change instead of complaining.
Thank you, God bless you. Thank you. Yes. Go ahead, hold on a minute. Go ahead, Barbara, go
I
ahead.
just have one quick thing, and I want to preface this by saying it's a rumor. As far as I know, I haven't seen any factual data to support this. I have heard rumors that some members, some candidates for the board have been talking about a management company. Again, I don't know if this is true, but I have heard rumors. We as a board heard these rumors, and we got together with one of the presidents of another community who also investigated the cost of a management company. And we were told, if our maintenance fees now are $165 a quarter, if there's a maintenance company that comes in here to manage this community, you can be looking at $500 a quarter for your maintenance fees. Your maintenance fees will triple, I'm just saying.
If I may.
I don't know if any of this is true.
Barbara, you know how we discuss, and I hate to do this with you, but you know how we discuss that rumors are usually something we should pay attention to? Well, in this case, if there's nothing that actually shows that, you know, we shouldn't give it any credibility.
Before I get put up on the cross out in the parking lot, I wasn't giving anything any credibility. I was just stating the facts. That's all.
The fact
that it's a rumor. Because people are complaining about their maintenance fees.
That, again, go back to the fact, it's not a fact, it was a rumor that you heard. Thank you.
The maintenance tripling is a fact.
Okay. Yes.
John, how you doing?
Hi.
Joe Cemento, 35 Rogers.
Hi, Joe.
I want to direct this to the board, or yourself. As a candidate,
yes,
not one of us has ever talked about, mentioned, had a discussion around the pool about a management company. Personally, I know a lot about it. I know what it costs. You're totally misdirected, totally talking about something you really have no knowledge of. Absolutely nothing. Let me tell you something. If this place had a management company, it'd probably be a whole lot less than you really think. And I personally, with my fellow candidates, take a personal offense that you accuse us of spreading the rumor. Thank you.
Joe, listen, and again, let us not let this meeting please devolve into something else. I understand that, sir. Joe, it's understood, and no one interrupted you, and you had your right, just like Barbara spoke, you spoke. And I just want to say, no matter what goes on, this is a community, we are all together. There's pros, there's cons, there's disagreements, there's this and that. And as far as I'm concerned, whatever transpires in this election, we should all support whoever the new board or the existing board or whoever it is, we should all support it because we're a community. Yes, not everybody's happy with who's ever sitting up here. And since day one, whoever has been sitting up here, nobody's always happy with them. And I don't expect that everybody's going to be happy with this board. But understand, it's just part and parcel of being part of a community. But that's the word, community. And I hate to see it evolve. I see some people ready to talk. Please. Sharon?
Hi, Sharon Pano.
happened to the computers that were in the library? Where?
They're in the conference room. I asked about that myself, Sharon, and I was told that they have to all be cleaned up because from laying for 2 years. And I guess I don't know that much about computers, so I don't know what cleaning.
So they are going back.
But as far as I know, they are going back.
Okay. Second question. First class mail for the ballots.
As of yet, it should be bulk mail, but again, we have to go outsource with this.
Okay, if it goes bulk mail due to the election going out, we are not going to get them in time.
Really? No, so that, all right, so then if we pay for the postage and the return postage, it's gonna be a bill, it's gonna be an expense that the community's gonna absorb. But again, that hasn't yet been resolved totally, all right, Sharon, I mean, really.
Okay.
And again, that's why I put it out to everybody before that, it can go one way or the other. If we don't have enough people to come in and help.
I am going to do
Great,
both.
that's great, but we need a certain amount of people. And if you're gonna be there, not 5 or 7, you're gonna need quite a few people to spend 5 days in there. That's why I asked if we can have a couple more volunteers. I think we need 3 actually for the count. But if we can get somebody, candidates, who don't advocate a management company, if you want to come in, and I believe that I think everybody here has the best interest at heart. I truly do. And you know, I don't want to belabor that point, but I think it still has to be resolved whether or not we have enough people or if we're going to go outside. And if we do, that's another question. Do we put the stamps on the return envelopes? Otherwise, we leave it up to a lot of the people in the community. They're not going to just return their thing. And we want to get as much of a response as we can. Okay?
Third question. How come the date was changed to the 23rd? It's normally the Tuesday after election.
The date, I have no idea why it came up after. I don't really. You're talking about the vote date?
Yes, the voting date. Usually it's the Tuesday after election.
When we got you have to do this, and then you have 10 days, and then you
But
have
it's so close to Thanksgiving, and you know a lot of people are not going to be here during that week.
Sharon.
Okay, okay.
Everything was figured out with the DCA through the attorney, so that we were doing everything exactly as we were supposed to.
Okay.
That
Last
was-
question. Who did the tiles?
The curtains?
The tiles. They're falling down.
I see it as a scene.
That was
Yeah, I know, it's a scene on the two panels. Well, you know what? Okay, we have to check, it might be a leak. Thanks for looking at it. Thank you, Sharon. Appreciate that, really. Well, we have the company, because, just so you know, we didn't do it, our guys didn't do it. We had a company came in, we'll get a hold of it, we'll find out if it's not a leak, it could be anything. All right, but good, that's good observation. Really? All right, I'm sorry, go ahead. Gina from the...
25.
Yes.
If we don't
Gina
get
Munger.
candidates to help with the election, why don't we outsource the whole election? Meaning mailing.
That's what we're considering.
No,
is the outsourcing.
everything, counting, everything.
No, the counting has to be supervised. You can't go to an outside source for that. It has to be done in front of people. You can't send that outsource. We're depending on the people here to do it. The counting is going to be involved. The people who are running, who designate to do the counting. You want somebody outside the community?
Well, to be unfair, I think everybody's just on like edge of the election. So we outsource the whole thing, mailing, stuffing envelopes, counting them.
It's going to be quite an expense. That's why we ask for volunteers. You know what?
Right, I understand that, but we're paying a lawyer, what, $500 an hour to stand here and guard it? When we're counting, so in reality, would it not be just as much, or just less?
Big quite a difference.
It's going to be, you have to do
Your representative will be one of the people who will be counting. Each candidate will have a representative of their choice.
Right.
So they will be here doing the count, opening in front of everybody.
But if we don't have enough, what I'm trying to say, if we don't have enough help, you
Well,
will outsource.
we have
So
to-
if you outsource the
Gina.
stuffing of the envelopes, the mail-in, and then we do the counting here, the reason why is because you want to tape the mail-in, the ballot box. Tape through it, but just tape.
We've done this before, we've done it many times. We tape the boxes. The boxes are completely taped and they're signed. So that.
I understand,
This is what the DCA is accepting.
I understand what you're
And I know the DCA.
But who's gonna handle when the mail comes in? Who's handling it to put the mail in the office?
They're gonna get it.
Okay, so here's my thing.
They have no preference.
Candidates, proxies, whomever, if the mail comes between 11 and 1, why shouldn't we have watch when it goes into the mail?
You can come and sit in the office all day and
I'm
watch.
just saying, to be fair, so no one thinks, there's something going on with the life. Everybody has trust issues here. We all know it. But that's all. What I'm saying is.
We put this out to a vote to the community.
You want me to make a motion? Because then we'll motion. No. I motion that we have it outsourced. I motion that we outsource the whole thing.
Or we can give that to the community to vote on. They should know what the amount, what it would cost.
It's gonna be no different than if we had the lawyers sitting here when the ballots get counted.
Lawyer's got no money. The lawyer will be here. He's gotta be here anyway. He's something emotional expense.
Well, you know what? Didn't you just say we saved our tree expenses? So there's your money. I'm just trying, I motion that we outsource the whole election.
Okay. I can't do that until we find out what it would cost. And what if it costs us $15,000? Do you think everybody's gonna vote yes on that? No.
No, it's not.
How do you give it? You want us to call for a vote on something we don't have the facts on. There is no evidence of how much it's gonna cost. We'd have to get bids on that. And you want us to make a vote now without knowing what it would cost? That's not a good way to think
You know
about
what?
it.
I'm only stating this because rumors and all this other stuff, I mean, fair is fair. You don't trust us, we don't trust you. It's that simple. You don't trust us, we don't trust you being fair.
Wait, I'm gonna have to ask you to sit down here. Who doesn't? You don't trust us to sit there? Then let's do this right now. I'm gonna ask for a show of hands. Who wants to spend the money to outsource right now, not knowing how much it's gonna cost? Show of hands. Oh, I see one. That's one. Overruled. Thank you. That's not right to insinuate that we're not trusted. That is not.
My name is Ninetta. I am exactly what Charlottesville drives down. I have a question about some of the charges on the month of August. The bad checkers, they're paid $18,000 for the month of August. There's a lot. There's $600 a day. How many are there?
$18,000 for the month of August?
And it comes out to $600 a day.
I don't know about that. I can't answer you honestly. So if you want, I will look into it. Give me your number. I'll call you and I'll give you the answer to that. I don't know why that's the figure, but I do know that we never had this many badge checkers, but last year we were mandated to add all these personnel. monitors, etc., because of COVID. And eventually, when the restriction was lifted, they became badge checkers, as opposed to what the initial intent was to hire the extra people. And that again was, we were mandated to do it, to have that put into our budget, which we did. Specifically, $18,000, I'd have to go and look at our paperwork.
Okay, may I have a
They
question?
get paid, they have to be paid minimum wage, which is $12 an hour.
They have $600 a day. I don't know how many you have, but $600 a day for the checkers. You divide that by 30 days, it's $600.
Okay, well,
It's quite a bit. I don't
for
know.
the two pools, all right, but again, we were mandated to hire that many people to go for the pools.
I know, and it's not even necessary.
I understand what you're saying, but I can't, sorry?
They're on their phones like 80% of the time.
They're just badge checkers. I mean, if nobody's
How
here
many
coming
people
in.
come in here from another community from the street? I mean, to warrant all that money is a
You
lot.
other people coming in from another community?
No, what I'm saying is, it doesn't warrant 6 people at one gate. I don't know. Can I say the next thing then?
I will get back to you on that. If you have your number, I'll call you, I'll let you know. I'll tell you, I don't think, we're not under mandate this coming year, hopefully, then probably we'll be
Maybe we
able to
can
do
reduce
less.
that. I don't know, just.
All right?
Save money. The other thing, cable TV is 2,000. How many televisions?
It's not cable TV, it's a cable package. A cable package includes our office, the computers, etc., and this is not a home type thing.
Right.
This is a commercial thing, you have to accept whatever the package is. I don't have the hand offhand, I don't have figures in front of me, but if you want that, we'll find out, but I don't believe it's $2,000.
It's on the paper. I guess I'm like
And it has to be with the Comcast package, it's not strictly TV. Guys, let's not lose it, please. Let the person speaking. Please, the person speaking, continue to speak to you. Are we gonna have a private conversation there?
No, she's saying that she pays $2,000 a month for her cable. I never heard of that.
Ask people how much they pay a month for their private.
Hey, right, it's expensive.
Over $200.
This is not.
Pay over $200.
I know, but it is a commercial
So
package.
this is 10 times.
Please, it's a commercial package. If you want, I asked you if you want your number, I'll give you an answer. All right, bye.
Just a quick question. My name is Fred Gerlich, 5 Sand Kitts Drive.
Hi, Fred.
Quick verification. Do you have 2 mailing addresses? One for our Holiday City, Berkeley bulletin that goes out, because that could go out to all the renters and everybody else. And when you send out the ballots, you can't send them to every house. You may have to send to North Jersey, because some people own 6 houses, you would send them 6 ballots.
Correct. They get one.
If you own 6 houses, you should have 6 votes.
But that's the way it is. That's been in accordance here since day one. But if you have, that's something somebody should bring up. If you have 6 houses, maybe you're entitled to 6 votes. But that's been like that since day one. Right. So that would have to be brought up and changed in the bylaws.
Okay.
But if anybody, if there's an owner that lives, say in Jersey City, and has a house down here, and rents it, the owner will get it.
Right, we send it to the owner.
Will get it.
That's to the owner.
The quick explanation was, I was the president of the board, and a man was buying up all the units, and he said that he wanted, he was only gonna pay the $500 when he buys a house once. I says, well, then you only get 1 vote. He says, no, that's not the way, it is.
You're talking about this community?
No, that's why I'm asking the question.
I'm just
Okay, you got my-
clarifying, okay? Thank you. All right. Yes, Sally.
I'm gonna try to be the peacemaker.
Sally.
Sally was
Tell everyone who you are.
794 Jamaica Boulevard.
Thank you, Sally.
Okay. This is a disgrace. I'm embarrassed, and I love being here, but I'm embarrassed the way some people are acting. You guys work hard. I'm not saying you're wonderful, okay? Because nobody is.
Nobody's wonderful.
But it's embarrassing, really, It's a nice place, and I think that people should look at other places. Okay.
Point,
Hey,
very nice.
you're paying these badge checkers, print out those ballots, let them stuff the envelopes while you're paying them. You got 4 weeks. Yeah, I know, but there's still 2 weeks left that you're paying badge checkers now.
Okay, a lot of them are going back already.
Listen, I don't know. I'm just trying to solve a problem.
We can't hear you. It's very specific, Sally. It's so specific that it has to be done in a certain way. The envelope has to be folded in a certain way. It's so ridiculous.
Okay, don't even bother explaining, because I know a lot of it's yes, but you have to follow the rules, okay? What about seniors in high school? You gotta pay these people $11 an hour. How long is it gonna take to stuff 3,300, whatever houses?
That's why we've asked for people to come forward to help us, knowing it's gonna be, that's what
And
we're
what
asking.
about instead of 5 days a week coming, you come for 3 hours, you come for 2 hours, you can't do that?
It's listen, there are over 3,000 envelopes, in 3,000 envelopes that have to go into, and into 3,000 envelopes.
Right.
And that's why it's been estimated that it's gonna be a full week's work, 5 days, for whoever comes in and
How
volunteers.
many people?
There's whole votes, half votes, third votes, quarter votes.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Too much worries. I'm retired.
That's the issue, and everything has to be done. My husband and I each get a half a vote.
Right.
Sharon Peno gets a whole vote. You get a whole vote.
Yes.
But there were some people where there's 2 people in the house, they get a third, a third.
If they're all
So
three on.
If they're on the
If
board,
they're all on the
whatever.
deal.
If they're all on the
So
deal.
all of that
Okay.
has to be configured. Then there are people who are not in compliance. Every single thing has to be.
Yeah, I know, but listen, you make a pile of. Isn't your program to due to renters, homeowners?
Renters don't.
Renters don't
Right,
vote.
that's what I'm saying. Your program, when you're sending stuff out, I'm sure your program on your computer has renters, homeowners, I don't know what but what I'm saying, your program doesn't have that.
Guys, the program is set. Sally, it's good to come up with it. It's Monday morning kind of thing. We have to get this rolling. And you know what? We came up with a couple of ideas. We've asked for volunteers. If it doesn't go, we're going to have to outsource. You've got a point, but so far, you know what? I don't see.
Let me ask you a question. You're gonna have these things in sections. These are homeowners, these each get whatever, say. You have to give people something to put into envelopes, okay? So why can't you say the clubhouse is gonna be open from 9 to 5 if people wanna come and stuff the envelopes?
I just asked for volunteers.
I'm just saying, and just come. I understand that. Yeah, self-addressed envelope, I get that.
Unfortunately, people are leaving. So,
And I don't know anything about it. If you get a price, everybody will say, oh, I'll volunteer.
right, so that's why, look,
Thank you
we're
very
trying to get it done. Thank you, Sally. We have one more, please, let's go this way. Come on, please. Really, I think voting the subject is closed.
Okay, well, hopefully this isn't too controversial. My name is D.K. Doyle.
Say, please, a little louder, we'll speak into the mic.
D.K. Doyle, 835 Jamaica. I just want a point of correction for I have two things. One is a point of correction for the record. Barbara, I'm not trying to throw you under the bus. I had to go to the calculator.
We can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay. Is my accent or?
I had the benefit of a calculator on the total for the account balances. It's $1,075,209.28.
I was close.
I'm just saying, I know, I'm just saying, just for a point of correction for the note, point of correction for the notes. My other thing is, let me show my ignorance here. Where is the yoga room and what was done for $2,900?
Where's the yoga room? The wood room. Okay, the yoga room used to be the old wood shop that nobody ever used for the past 5 years at least. Nobody ever bothered to go in there. It was a crappy old room, so most of the stuff in that room was done with what we had left over. But electricity had to be put in, certain things had to be put in. So probably I can't give you an exact answer right now. I don't have figures in front of me.
You had to rework a room, that's the bottom line. But now let me.
And the room now is being used, so the room will actually make money. It was sitting there empty and crappy, and now as people start coming in, they pay the yoga instructor pays us. The same way as the Zumba people come in, they collect money, they get a salary, we get the money from it. So little by little, it will pick up and it will be making some money.
Okay, so one more clarification. Where the hell was the wood shop room? I have no idea where that is.
Do you know where the ceramic room was?
No.
You know the entrance to the pool?
Yes. Pool one?
Pool one, if you come in from this parking lot, the building to the left, there's a door and a ramp. It's in there.
Okay, good enough. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Does anybody want to come?
Good afternoon. Annika Van Sevenger, 452 St. Thomas Drive.
I'm sorry, ma'am, just 1 second. Could you please give courtesy when someone comes up to the mic? Thank you.
I would just like to say that last month, Terry, you had said you were very proud that we were able to salvage the flag that hangs in the hallway here. Due to the episode that happened with the chemicals, how were you able to salvage the flag? And we were not able to salvage anything else that happened. Pool tables, they could have been salvaged, they could have been
No, they couldn't.
They would have been refilled.
It was one flag. It was on the wall. When Greg came in the first day, he saw it, he grabbed it, took it out of the building. The building was then closed by the hazmat people. They closed the building on us. The building stayed closed for months. So that's what happened. But the flag came out the first day, before the building was closed by the hazmat people.
And one other quick question. I see that in our income, Zumba took in $1,173. And I see that in our expenses, the instructor was paid $910.
Yeah.
Okay, so if she's running the classes, how isn't she just taking X amount of dollars and giving it to
I
her?
can't hear you.
She's running the classes, right?
She runs the classes, yes.
Okay. And how is that done? She takes money from the people that join her classes.
Right.
She donates.
Just like the Zumba classes, just like the Zumba instructors. When you go to Zumba, the Zumba instructors take $3 or $5 or whatever it is. They get a percentage of what they take in.
And so that's how we get money back. We're not getting huge amounts of money, but we get little by little, we make some money on it. It's not a large amount, but it's something.
No, it is not a large amount, $263. Okay, thank you.
Okay. No, really. Does anybody have anything else? If not, I'm going to call the meeting adjourned. Adjourned. Yes,